All right, the college football transfer portal has been busy over the last few days, so what better time to get into it than right now? LSU currently has the number one ranked transfer portal class per 247 Sports. Everything I'm going to say is from 247 Sports right now. I think they're the number one tracker for all this type of stuff, and it leads off with Sam Levitt, who was the number one quarterback or number one ranked quarterback, number one ranked prospect, going to join Lane Kiffin in what has been a notoriously QB friendly system with this time at Ole Miss. I think this is a match made in heaven. Sam Levitt is an absolute dog. The only team to beat Cincinnati and to produce against Cincinnati, or not Cincinnati, against Texas Tech's defense in the Big 12 this year was Sam Levitt, a Sam Levitt-led Arizona State offense. Sam Levitt almost beat Texas a couple of years ago with Cam Skadaboo in the college football semifinal as a freshman without his best receiver, Jordan Tyson. So he almost beat Texas. He got injured a little bit last year. They were the preseason number one ranked team in the Big 12. He had an off year, got injured, going to join now Lane Kiffin, who's the number one ranked transfer portal at QB in this year's class. And you also got 3 top 30 wide receivers that were in the portal. They got the 7th best edge in the portal, the number 2 ranked safety in the portal. Lane Kiffin is making quick work in terms of flipping this ship around that Kelly left him and getting this LSU team back to contender status. They are one of the obvious winners of the transfer portal so far. Texas is a team that I liked a lot, but 247 Sports doesn't have them ranked as highly as I do. But Cam Coleman, you cannot underestimate the addition of Cam Coleman to this Texas offense with Sarkisian that already has Ryan Wingo, that already has Arch Manning, who played so well in the back half of the year once he really started to get his feet under him. And some draft experts are talking about Arch Manning, where if he came out this year, he would be going ahead of Fernando Mendoza. How much truth there is to that, I'm not sure, but Arch was balling down the stretch for Texas. They bring in the number one ranked wide receiver in the transfer portal. He was the number 4 ranked player in the portal overall, 5-star last year, top 5 player in his recruiting class, number 1 player in Alabama. Cam Coleman is a dog. Throwing him next to Ryan Wingo in a Texas offense is going to be electric, led by Arch Manning and the Steve Sarkisian system. And they also bring in Hollywood Smothers, transfer from NC State, number 2 ranked running back in the portal as well. They loaded up on the offensive side of the ball. I think Arch Manning, rightfully so, is the Heisman favorite right now. He should put up some ridiculous numbers with Cam Coleman, Ryan Wingo, and they got another RB from Arizona State as well. I'm forgetting his name, but he had like 1,300 yards last year as well. So this Texas offense is the real deal. They're going to be a real problem. Oregon is another interesting team, and not because Dylan Raiola committed there, but it's because what Dylan Raiola committing to Oregon means about Dante Moore, which Oregon obviously probably knows something. They wouldn't go out and get a quarterback if Dante Moore wanted to return, because Dante Moore is a better quarterback right now than Dylan Raiola is. So I think Dante Moore is making the logical decision. Like, it's the right decision for Dante Moore to declare this year. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Jets fan. I'm saying that because if he waits until next year, that class is way more loaded. There's way more guys next year, where Dante Moore has a chance to be the number 2 overall pick this year. I'm telling you, next year, I don't know if that's the case. We don't know if that's the case for certain. And it's kind of like similar with Drew Aller. Like, if he declared last year, he might have been a top 10 pick. He might have even been a top 5 pick, Drew Aller, with his build, his size, his frame. Now, who knows if he even goes in the first 3 rounds. Okay, so Dante Moore is making the right decision. We can infer this by Dylan Raiola committing to Oregon, and that is to go to the NFL draft. Because if he waits for the next year, you might have a guy like Raiola if he balls, a guy like Sam Levitt that we just talked about if he balls out. But then you also have Arch. You have Julian Sayin. Who knows about Marcel Reed? I still believe. You have, I guess there's definitely other guys I'm forgetting. But the main ones are Sayin, and Arch Manning. I have a tough time seeing Dante Moore play himself, if he played another season, into a realm where he's better than those guys. Who knows, though? But there's a guarantee that if he declares now, he'll likely be the number 2 overall pick, easily the second quarterback off the board. I think it's the right decision for him to do so. And we can almost, I don't want to say he's for sure going to go to the draft, but Dylan Raiola committing to Oregon definitely means that. Oregon also 5th highest transfer portal class, according to 247 Sports. Raiola was inconsistent at Nebraska, but they never really surrounded him with a lot of elite playmakers. Oregon's had elite playmakers for forever now. But Decorian Moore was a stud before his injury. I don't know if Evan Stewart's going to be back. He got hurt before the season. He's a dog. And whoever else they bring in, they're going to be bringing in guys here. So, and they also scored the number one safety in the portal. They did lose one of their safeties, was the number 2 ranked safety in the portal. So instant replacement there. Coy Pierich from Minnesota. Don't know if I definitely have to butcher his name, but if you're the number 1 safety in the portal from Minnesota, white boy too, and he looked like he had aura, I'm not going to lie, just from the picture, I think that guy's going to be a stud. Either way, good transfer portal stuff out of Oregon for sure. And I think Dante Moore, I think right decision for him to declare for the draft this year. And Texas Tech is another team we got to talk about. I think if Texas Tech keeps spending money the way they keep spending money, and who knows, because that oil budget might be infinite, they're going to move to the SEC or the Big Ten in the next 5-10 years. And if they keep spending money the way they do, because they're the only team so far that has secured 2 top players in this year's transfer portal class. The number 2 overall player in Brendan Sorsby, number 2 ranked quarterback. But they also secured the 2nd ranked defensive lineman, Mateen Igaragba, probably butchered his name, senior, transfer from Wake Forest. So Texas Tech, who was the 2nd ranked portal class last year, top 10 ranked portal class again this year, and is the only team in the country to secure 2 top 10 overall players that are in this portal, or in the transfer portal, according to 247 Sports. And they bring in Brendan Sorsby, who showed a lot of arm talent last year. He flashed a whole lot. He had some low lows. Like I think it was a game against BYU, who had a pretty good defense, one of the better defenses in the Big 12, but it did not look good. What a score for Texas Tech. If they keep spending money the way that they keep spending money, if their budget is as deep as it looks like it might be, that team's going to move to the SEC or the Big Ten in the next 5 years. If their pockets really do run that deep. So shout out Texas Tech. And then the last 2 things we should talk about regarding the portal: Alabama wide receiver, 10th ranked player in the portal, Isaiah Horton, is transferring to Texas A&M to join Marcel Reed. And you guys know I love me some Marcel Reed and Mario Craver. Even though Marcel Reed didn't play well the last few weeks of the season, I think there's a lot of room for growth, a lot of room for development. He has some of the best accuracy deep down the field. He has the escapability in the pocket. He just needs to fix some of his mechanics on his short and intermediate throws. Mario Craver's a stud. Isaiah Horton's a stud. He has weapons. He's losing Casey Concepcion. Will probably be an early day 2, maybe even a late day 1 pick, depending on how he measures in the combine and how his pre-draft process goes. And they're replacing him with a guy in Isaiah Horton who was producing for Ty Simpson and that Ryan Grubb offense over there in Miami. So good move for A&M. And then Trinidad Chambliss was denied a 6th season of eligibility, as was Miller Moss. So shout out Miller Moss, former USC quarterback, was at Louisville this year, actually beat Miami. But actually a pretty good game against that Miami defense too, if I'm remembering correctly. So yeah, good. That'll wrap up all of the transfer portal stuff we had to talk about.